Hello everyone. I want to tell you a little story about pretty much the worst painting commission experience I've ever had, and how I got it is I sometimes work for this company that does this collaboration with brands where there is an artist who offers to draw portraits, and there's this setup like a portrait station with a TV screen, and I'm there as an artist and I invite people to come, and I'll do a digital portrait on the iPad. On the TV screen, there is projected what I'm drawing so people can see in real time how I'm doing the portrait. And at the end, the client can get a physical print of the portrait and a time-lapse video link of their portrait at the corresponding store. So I've done this gig a couple of times, and one time it was in this shopping mall, and I'm drawing portraits, and this one old guy is walking by, and that day it was not very busy, so as he's walking by, I'm inviting him, come on, I'll draw your portrait, and he doesn't speak my language, so I live in Latvia, and Latvia used to be a part of the Soviet Union, so about 40% of people are Russian speaking here. So this old dude was a Russian speaker, and like most Russian people, also know how to speak Latvian, or if not that, then English. But this guy, he only spoke Russian. But I know a little bit of Russian, just to like understand each other, but not that much. So I say, we're drawing a portrait. If you want, you can get it for free. And he doesn't believe me. He's like, oh, so for free? That's so cool. But I have to run. And I'm like, okay, that's no problem. And I keep on drawing other people for a while, but then I see he comes back and he said, I couldn't just miss this opportunity. I wanted to get my portrait done. So he waits in line. Then when it's his turn, I draw his portrait, and it turns out really well. Like, he's also very happy, and somehow I managed to get his character. And I like drawing old dudes. Like, they have interesting facial expressions, and the lines, and you can play with with their character a lot. So I enjoyed the process, and it came out very well. And he said, I have these 2 cats. Could I get your contacts? Maybe you can paint my cats. And I'm like, sure, I'll give you my contacts. We can talk about it later. So I don't remember how long later, but he did message me, and he sent me some pictures, and I drew a painting of his 2 cats. And that painting, it was very easy to do. There was no big hassle. There were a few changes he wanted me to make. Then I made them, and then the painting was finished. So a very good commission process. And then we met up at the same shopping mall, and I gave him the painting, he gave me the money, and it was all good. How did we speak to each other? We just spoke on WhatsApp, and I used Google Translate to translate from Latvian to Russian, and he just spoke Russian. So that's how we understood each other. But it was a bit difficult to speak that way. And when we met up in real life, we couldn't really understand each other that well. But yeah, with the first commission, he was very happy, and he said, one of my cats is having a birthday in a few months. I'll contact you to paint him for his birthday. And I'm like, sure, yeah, let's see if that happens. But he did contact me for a few months later, and he sends me this picture of him and one of his cats, and he says, can we do the same arrangement, like the same size, the same price, the same technique? Can we do the same thing? I'm like, sure, yeah, I can paint another painting of you and your cat. And this is where things started to become weird, because the photo he sent, he was not exactly looking the best in the photo. Like, the cat looked good. The cat's a cat, But the human, you want to make them look a little bit better. But the photo he sent was him like being kind of, I don't know, like with this a bit grumpy expression. He was not smiling. The lighting was crap at the photo. the photo was cropped way too much, like the cat didn't have half of his face. So, and the guy said to me, can you just paint the cat so it's in frame? And I was like, okay, I'll try. But I was working with the photo, pretty much. I was painting the guy as he was in the photo, but I tried to make him look a bit better, and I tried to improve the lighting. But yeah, the photo was the reference I had. When I was near the finish line, I sent him the painting, and he said like, man, I just don't really like it. Something's about it is very off. And I say, what do I change? And he says, well, in that first portrait of me at the event, you captured my essence. This painting does not capture my essence. I don't like it. And I asked, is there anything I can do about it? And I don't remember, I think he didn't give me a clear answer, but I thought, okay, well, the painting is pretty much finished. What do you want me to do? He said like, I just don't look that way how you painted me. I don't look like that. Even though I asked some of my friends about it and they said, yeah, he looks like that. And I thought that as well. Like, that's the photo, that's my painting of him. Like, I cannot paint you any other way than what you showed me, because I don't know you that well. I have drawn you from life one time. I have seen you twice. Like, I don't have your face memorized. So what do you expect of me? You sent me the photo you sent me. That's what I worked with. And I guess that's where the problem was. Like, he expected me to use the photo as a reference, but to do like this magical, I don't know what he expected, but like to capture his soul and his cat's soul in the painting, where in the commission, I'm just painting the photo, but adding some painterly elements, adding some of my style, emphasizing some things while deleting other things. So I finished the painting, I changed the background, I did a few improvements that he asked for, and I sent him, this is the final result, what do you think? And he says, no, it still just it doesn't look like me. It's not me. I don't like it. It's bad painting. And then I thought, okay, well, he's not gonna take it. That's that. And I stopped talking with him. I said, this is the finished thing. If you want, you can take it. If not, then I'm not gonna paint it again from scratch. Because that was one of the things he wanted me to do before. I think he wanted me to start again when he was saying that the painting is not right. So a week passes, and sometimes he writes to me these weird cryptic messages that kind of sounds like threats and kind of vague, like mean jokes. And because it's with Google Translate, I cannot really understand what does he mean exactly. Like, some jokes don't translate that well using Google Translate. But I just thought, okay, this is this crazy old man, I'll leave him alone. And then he sends me some new photos of him smiling, and he says, I want to be painted like that. But I say to him, well, you should have sent me those photos at the beginning, because how was I supposed to know how you look like when you're smiling if this photo you sent me was with you looking grumpy? So yeah, I said, I'm not gonna paint it again. My position is final. If you want the painting, let's meet up and you can buy it. If you don't, I have no problem keeping it. I had fun painting it, so I didn't lose nothing. One more week passes, and he writes to me, when are we going to meet up? I said, I thought you didn't want this painting. And he says, who do you take me for? I don't do business like that. Let's meet up. I'll buy the painting. And I kind of felt bad selling the painting to somebody who is not happy with it. But I think it was his fault because he expected some things of me that I just couldn't do with what he had given me. And also the pay was very little. Like, I asked for such a little amount, he paid no advance, so I'm not gonna repaint that thing 3 times. So we agreed on a time, we met at the same mall, and he takes a look at the painting in real life, and he's just visibly not happy. And he's like, he starts laughing aloud, and it was kind of insulting, but I was prepared for it. I knew he didn't like it, so I didn't expect anything of it. But he's just like looking at the painting and like giggling and looking at me and like looking like, bro, can you even paint? Why do you paint so bad? Even though the previous one he was very happy with, and I don't know, I just felt like this client sucks. I just want to get this over with and never work with him again. And yeah, we do the deal. He pays me. We take a photo of us and the painting. Yeah, he's just visibly not happy. And yeah, the communication was very weird with the old dude because, for example, for the first painting, he wanted me to attach a hook to it and the string so he can hook it to his wall. So I did that. I added this little string that I attached to the frame so you can hook it on a nail and put it on your wall. So that was for the previous painting. And right before we meet, he photos me the previous painting and he asks, what the hell is this string? And I said, it's a hook you asked for to put it on your wall. And he writes to me, I don't want that for this painting. And then when we meet up in real life, he asks, where's the hook? I say to him, you asked me not to put it on this time. And he's just looking at me like I'm an idiot. He's like, what? No, I didn't say that. Even though that was what happened. And all the while like making mean jokes and I don't know, just being very obnoxious. But I packed the painting back up again and he gives me the money. And I thought, oh, this is over. But luckily for me, there was this other dude who saw us making the transaction and he walks up to me. And he was also a Russian speaker, but thankfully he spoke Latvian. And he asked me if I do paintings. And I said, yeah, I do painting commissions. Are you interested in one? He shows me a picture of his wife. He asks me if I can paint her and it's going to be for her birthday. So I say, yeah, sure. And I ask for a bit more than the previous guy. And the dude says, oh, well, I could pay more, but let's do it. Which was kind of weird because, yeah, I could have asked for more, but whatever. And he gives me half of it up front. So I knew that this client is going to be much, much better than the previous old dude. And that's what happened. Like I painted his wife. We met up. He gave me the money. There was no hassle. But with the old dude, it was just such a... I think the language barrier was the worst. The age barrier, like we didn't have much of a common understanding between us. And what I learned from it is, number one, to communicate to the client that this reference that you sent me is what I'm going to be painting, not what you imagine what I'm going to be painting. And because I don't know what's in your head, I don't know how you see or what do you expect the painting to be. I only know the reference, I know vaguely my style, and I can expect them to mix together into this painting I can sell you. But honestly, every time I start a painting, I don't know, I have no idea what it's going to look like at the end, because sometimes the intuition during the painting sends me a different direction, and I just follow my gut feeling when I'm doing creative work. So number two is to get an advance, so that if the client bails or is just a piece of work to work with, at least you were compensated for starting the work and for your effort and for your communication all that time. Because luckily the guy did buy the painting at the end, but at one point I had given up dealing with him. And at that point I was at a loss. Like, sure, I had this painting, but what am I going to do with the painting of an old man and a cat? I don't know. And the third is probably ask for bigger prices than me, because if you lowball your prices, you will attract certain clients that will not respect you. And I'm still learning how to do it. I'm asking for higher and higher prices with every project, because I want to be motivated to do the best work possible, So if I ask for a bit higher price where I'm kind of like uneasy about myself, like will they be happy with it? Will I live up to the price I'm asking? Then that pushes me to do better work. And also at the end, I'm much happier with both the painting result, the effort I put in, and with the payment as well. And I think sometimes the psychology of people is that if they pay more for it, they think it's more valuable. For example, if you got a painting for 100 euros versus a painting for 500 euros, obviously you're going to think that the painting for 500 euros is more valuable, even though that both paintings might be the same quality. So some people enjoy paying more, especially if they have a lot of money, and they think that spending a lot is equal to the product's value, which is not always the case. But as an artist, you can play into that and kind of judge your clients. Sure, for your friend or for your family, don't ask for higher prices, but for a stranger who maybe lives in a mansion or God knows where, you can ask for a higher price because they'll be comfortable paying it. So that's the story today, and that's the advice I would give myself and you if you want to do the same things. Yeah, good luck. Good luck in your endeavors. I hope this story was interesting and helpful in some way.